Good evening to one and all present here. So it's a wonderful evening, and it's my immeasurable pleasure to welcome you all to this 8th Foundation Day of our Institute, Indian Institute of Management, Visakhapatnam. Since long, it has been told and proved that for any successful accomplishment of any work, it requires a proper foundation. And the foundation is the place where the future and the success waits for. So it's also a day when our institutes, past, present, and future, is meeting together to take vows for uplifting the standards of our institute to the best possible heights and dimensions. So on this occasion, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Shri Anindya Dasgupta, sir. Sir is the Principal Director of Audit of Hyderabad, and Sir also belongs to 2002 batch of Indian Audit and Accounting Services. Sir, we are glad as well as grateful to you for accepting our invitation and being part of this auspicious function. Also, sir, we are honored to have you here for taking out your precious time from your hectic schedule. Going forward, I'd like to welcome our respected Director, Dr. M. Chandrasekhar, sir, to this function. Sir always has vision to impart the best standards of education and all the requirements for IIM Visakhapatnam. Sir, without you, IIM Visakhapatnam would never have become what it is right now. Next, I would like to welcome our Dean Administration and the SMFC Chair, Professor Anuradha Ma'am, to this occasion. And next, I would like to welcome all the faculties who is present here, because you people have not even just worked for the betterment of the institute, but also have contributed eminently for the brand enhancement of the institute. Next, I would like to welcome all the non-faculty members present here, and as well as my friends without whom the institute would never be complete as an organization. And for the last, let's take a pledge together on this Foundation Day that we all will work in the most earnest manner for the betterment and growth of our institute in all the aspects in the future. And now let's rejoice the function with happiness and celebration, since the day itself is demanding for that in a due manner. That's all from me. Now I'd like to request our director, sir, for his felicitation.
No, it's okay. Thank you, Tariq. And very good evening to all of you. Let me add my own word of welcome, Shri Anindya Dasgupta ji, who, as Tariq introduced, is the Principal Director of Audit Central, based at Hyderabad. And when I approached him and requested him to be the chief guest for today's function, he accepted it with cheerful promptness. So I'm grateful to you, Anindya ji. And as Anuradha will, of course, introduce the guest in a more elaborate manner, but let me tell you, here is a versatile personality who is an economist by training and who has excelled in co-curricular and extracurricular activities, who has had extensive experience of working both in India and abroad, and has contributed significantly to the audit function per se across the world in kind of going one step higher, or in terms of quality and in terms of the processes. You know, you would be quite happy to know that as part of his role and functions, he has also, a unique responsibility and an opportunity, I would say. He audited the United Nations headquarters at New York, and he has also the distinction of auditing the International Atomic Energy Commission in Vienna. So these opportunities obviously come for the knowledgeable, for the committed, and Shri Anindya ji has, with great distinction, served in these roles and fulfilled these responsibilities. In detail, of course, Anuradha would introduce him. But let me, on this Foundation Day, share my own few thoughts. Anindya ji, in this institute, we are an institution of national importance, and as I always say, our focus is on what I call in my words as 4 I's. I, capital I. The first one is the intellectual resources. You know, our students, Tariq and his entire team of students here, we also have the PGP Digital Governance and Management participants here, whom you would have the opportunity of meeting in a short while. Now, these are the students and participants who make us what we are. Our students who are part of the PGP, the postgraduate program, which is the flagship MBA program, you know, like the UPSC exam, they would clear the CAT common admission test and are here. As you would know, about 2.25 lakh people write this exam every year. And just about 10,000 of those bright, brilliant students make it to the 20 IIMs. On an average, if it is 500 students per IIM, about 10,000 students would get the opportunity. Out of these 2.25 lakh students, actually about 1.75, 1.8 lakh students or applicants show their preference to work in IIM Visakhapatnam. Today there are 20 IIMs and there are IIMs which are closer to their home as well, because we are a truly national character institution with our students coming from 21, 22 states of the country, our faculty coming from about 17 states of the country. And we are proud of what we have achieved and about this diversity and about the richness of the cohort being here as one. So out of these 1.8 lakh applicants who might actually want to study in IIM Visakhapatnam, as you know, our intake is about 300 or so. So it's a very highly competitive process through which these bright and brilliant students make it and come to this campus. Now, a word about our own faculty. We are 36 strong, and our faculty have rich experience, very rich academic credentials, both in terms of educational background and research. They come from the top-notch schools of this country, and many of them bring with them substantial experience. And they bring into the classroom their industry experience as well as research when they engage with the students. So this is the first I part that I wanted to share, that we are so proud of our intellectual resources. You know, Anindya ji, as Bertrand Russell has said, education is not to be viewed as something like filling a vessel with water, but rather assisting a flower to grow in its own way. No man can be a good teacher unless he has feelings of warm affection towards his pupils and a genuine desire to impart to them what he believes to be of value. More important than the curriculum is the question of the methods of teaching and the spirit in which the teaching is given. I am proud to say that all our faculty epitomize these very good sayings of Bertrand Russell when they engage with the students. The second I that I would like to refer to is infrastructure. As you see around you, some of it is in the making, some of it is made, but our intent is to make this campus as conducive to impactful learning outcomes as possible. You are a sports enthusiast, you are a music enthusiast, so we are building world-class sports facilities here. As I was mentioning to you, my friends tell me that we have a FIFA accredited football court. I am also looking forward to seeing that, come up sooner than later. We have a beautiful cricket ground, as you have seen. We are building squash court, badminton court, etc., where I am sure to the brilliance of learning that my students have access to, they'll also have access to these facilities to engage themselves in after a hard day's work in the class. As my colleague Mr. Raju has just now mentioned, when completed, we will be a Griha 5-star campus. We will be net zero on energy, on carbon, on water. So we do hope, and we are only the third IIM in the country to have a Griha 5-star rating. The prior two being the IIMs at IIM Kozhikode and IIM Udaipur. The third I want to come to is institutional processes. I have strong belief that, Tariq mentioned about the faculty, teaching staff and non-teaching staff. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind at all that my colleagues work with a solution mindset, with, with the commitment, looking at the delight of the stakeholder. The stakeholder could be our students, the stakeholder could be internal or external to us. But work with a purpose, work with sincerity of commitment, a sense of propriety and purpose is what I see in my colleagues, and I'm quite proud of it. And if you look at the processes part, our processes are quite robust. We have always, as I was mentioning to you, it's always our endeavor to keep things, most of the, for example, approvals, etc., happen online. I mean, we don't engage in physical paper because physical file moving from one location to the other could be having, could take its own time. Only for very crucial things like, vigilance reports or, payments involved with projects, etc., we have physical files. Otherwise, there are no really physical files. So while following an electronic method, following laid down processes, we are a sincere endeavor to be as efficient as possible and always remain on the right side of the law. So institutional processes is one more strength of ours. The fourth I, which I would like to mention to you, is the investment we make in the future of our students. As I mentioned to you, whether it is giving them good education, developing them, helping them develop professional competence, or helping them become socially responsible citizens, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, our endeavor is to see that our students stand out when they step out of their 2-year MBA stint here. We are in that way trying to mold their future, mold their careers, and whatever it takes for us to succeed in that endeavor, we stand committed to doing it. We have, as I was briefing to you, we have the flagship program, we have the digital governance program, we have an MBA program for working professionals in the evening. We are also launching from the next year an executive MBA program. Some of the IIMs have already launched it, but we would be doing so next year, which will again bring the kind of convenience that the digital governance program has. About 80% of it will be online and 20% on campus. So if I have to sum up, as Jennifer Petriglieri, one of the renowned professors of INSEAD France, said, the job of business schools should be to modernize or to professionalize, not modernize, to professionalize management education for the larger good of the society. It's our commitment to stand by the dictum and to do whatever it takes to be truly a school which promotes goodness in the society. And once again, I would like to thank you for being with us this evening. And I'm sure our faculty, me, our colleagues, teaching, non-teaching staff, students will have a lot of takeaways from what you're going to share with us. And I'm sure this is one step forward in our endeavor to make our students excel academically, evolve emotionally, engage socially, and emerge successfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your introductory remarks. And who better than our founding director to talk about the achievements of our institution? It's my pleasure to introduce our chief guest today and welcome sir for the Foundation Day address. We have with us Shri Anindya Dasgupta ji today. Shri Dasgupta is an Indian Audit and Accounts Service personnel from 2002 batch. He is currently the Principal Director of Audit Central in Hyderabad. He's done his Masters and MPhil in Economics from JNU, New Delhi. He has served in various capacities under the Comptroller and Auditor General of India for the past 20 years and has been engaged in the audit of large mining, public sector enterprises, ports, paramilitary forces, cultural institutions of national importance, and has coordinated audits of Customs Department across the country at CAG office. He has been Director of IT Audit for SAI India. I googled for it, sir. So, Supreme Audit Institutions, and has actively contributed to the global body of knowledge and capacity development at the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions as a subject matter expert in IT audit during the last 10 years. He has done audit assignments on IT and procurement strategies of the United Nations at New York and as well as at IAEA, like Director Sir had mentioned. IAEA stands for International Atomic Energy Agency at Vienna. So it's a pleasure to have you here with us. I invite you to kindly deliver the Foundation Day address.
Respected Professor Chandrasekhar, Director IMV, Anuradha ma'am, faculty and staff of IIM, dear students of the PGP and Digital Governance Program, a very good evening to each and every one of you. I was actually thinking of a verbal equivalent of a long post alert because, yes, I was very happy to accept the invitation because it was an opportunity to come and visit your institute. But then only I later realized that I have been slotted for a half an hour speech on this function. And even the TED Talks are finished in 17, 18 minutes. How do I speak for half an hour extempore? So I had to write down a speech. And I was going to apologize to the PGP students who have had classes the whole day. Even the faculty must have been busy in classes the whole day. And to bear with me for half an hour. But the smarter guys are in any case not here. So it's okay. I feel very privileged to be a part of today's gathering, to share this special moment of joy with you on this 9th Foundation Day of IIM Visakhapatnam. Not so long ago, on a rainy September morning in 2015, this institution started its humble beginning to shine and at the city campus that you have been familiar with till June last year. In 2018, the state of Andhra Pradesh identified and allotted this land for the permanent campus where we meet today. In short, in this short journey, this IIM has made giant strides. It is contributing significantly in supporting entrepreneurship, developing a skill ecosystem in 3 states, and promoting innovation and sustainability. It is very evident that the captain who's steering this ship has put his heart and soul in creating the early ethos of this promising young entity. I'm excited to note that this IIM has chosen the tedious path of cultivating excellence following a detailed visioning exercise that started early in 2020. First and foremost, it seeks to champion and excel in nurturing young entrepreneurs within you. It also aims to tackle contemporary problems with innovative solutions that build a new India, not only in business, but in government and society at large. Before coming to this permanent campus, I took the opportunity to visit this city, to visit an ancient ruin, half an hour's drive from here to the east, on a hillock at Totlakonda. I spent some time marveling at the choice of location for a center of learning that established itself 2000 years ago on the top of a hill, 125 meters above the sea and overlooking the sea, where the waves of the Bay of Bengal crash into the shores of India. In fact, at no other point on the entire 3,000 kilometers of our east coast, barring Dolphin's Nose, Kailashgiri and Rishikonda hillocks next door, do the Eastern Ghats get to wet her feet by the sea. You must check this out on the terrain view on Google Maps because I've checked it. There used to stand a perfectly shaped 56 feet tall stupa, a hill on a hill, which any vessel, after a long voyage across the sea, coming into the sheltered waters of Vimunipatnam, would first spot on the shoreline. In contrast to the forts on the coastal skyline that the Portuguese and Dutch fortune seekers would later build, it is through centuries that India welcomed the ancient world as a beacon for learning. The monks' quarters, the rainwater harvesting, the niche for oil lamps, the kitchen and grain store, the Buddha's footprints on stone, serves as an insight into the process of diffusion of Indic culture across the seas. How many of you have ever been there? Anyone here? Okay, great. The faculty has been there, and I've spoken to Director Saab also. I'm sure we can have some at least early morning meditation sessions or something equivalent on class on ethics or something in that beautiful space. In fact, this part of our country, for 200 to 300 years, at the very dawn of the Common Era, was dotted with diverse and dynamic centers like this, welcoming students from all over Asia. That is a history that is ill documented, mostly forgotten, and largely unknown. So it is no wonder that your beloved institute, IIM Visakhapatnam, by a fine twist of history, had to come up right here. This place is carved out from its forested natural surroundings. It promises to synchronize into nature's lap as a green, beautiful campus. I learned that much thought has gone into campus design in terms of accessibility, conservation in use of energy and water, choice of native species for plantation, net zero carbon footprint, extensive use of renewables demonstrating your commitment to sustainable practices. This has been complemented, as Dr. Saab mentioned, by obtaining statutory approvals in advance, which is also kind of a first, a 5-star Griha rating, and a 3-tiered project governance structure for monitoring execution and project completion. I want to draw the attention of the PGP students here to this nature of intimate engagement that the top tier of your institute has been having over the past few years, that makes the promise of a beautiful learning environment at IIMV very tangible. Already the institute chose to admit close to its stated capacity for the latest PGP program last year. I must congratulate Dr. Chandrasekhar and his team and the key stakeholders involved with this project for their degree of involvement and pride with this project. May I have a clap for him and all the key persons. The statistic that the latest batch of 292 students come from 21 states itself creates a fascinating learning opportunity. I myself have benefited from multicultural learning environments, and the best thing about being in an institution like this is that it offers a window to a world of ideas and possibilities that you did not know before. I've been a musician all my life, but one day in my university, I walked into a room of a senior person and found him playing a nylon string great guitar, playing some classical Western guitar pieces, which I've never heard in my life. And, my perception of Western classical music totally changed. And now my daughter learns online classical Western guitar from somebody in Darjeeling. So basically, in a place like this, you zoom into each other's stories and peel off a few layers of your own cultural conditioning. Boys and girls, do not restrict yourself to your own comfort zone of language and preferences. On an average, it would be 14 people per state here. Diversity is now consciously cultivated in all global organizations. It is a stated goal of the United Nations recruitment policy. Imagine how blessed we are to have the opportunity to be nurtured in a learning ecosystem that is infused with this scale of diversity. If you're ready to reach out, ready to embrace with an open mind, not to be judgmental, it will help you connect much better with diverse problems and solutions as future leaders of society, industry, and government. I was told that 72% of the latest batch of PGP students have joined with some basic experience. All of you look forward to having rewarding careers, but in these 2 years, enrich your classroom experience with what you have confronted in the field, what you could have done differently, and the jobs that you have held. You kids are lucky to have landed up at an IIM which is already a place of many firsts in its brief voyage. Our great nation needs to march ahead on the fuel of ideas and thoughtful leadership from institutions that instill belief and pride in us, make us think, let us question the standards, yet teach us to remain humble, adaptable, and challenge our own set notions. The IIMs had assumed that stature of national importance long before they were formally declared so in 2017. Your own institute has come up at the top of a new generation of IIMs in the latest NIRF rankings and doing exceptionally well in graduation outcomes, teaching and learning resources, and inclusivity. I guess that's part of the four I's that Professor Chandrasekhar talked about. I was very happy to learn how the Institute had facilitated during the pandemic a robust online learning environment for PGP students connecting from diverse locations across the country. It is also the only IIM to have a startup and innovation policy and an innovation fund to support your future journey of entrepreneurship. I was excited to know about the interesting work that the IIMV field has done in terms of mentoring and training more than 1,000 aspiring entrepreneurs, especially women, in managing their startups. Given the wide bouquet of offerings in terms of scope and specialization, and what Dr. Chandrasekhar just showed me around, a B school dropout like me wishes to set the clock back and jump into this fascinating journey once again. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, we may not often realize this. In the mid of the ebb and flow of our daily lives, we are living through a momentous period of history of our country. This land and her people are on the cusp of self-discovery, rediscovery to say that. We can all plan it better if we know more about our past. So pardon me the next 2 minutes. We should always remain aware that for the first 1700 centuries of the Common Era, India accounted for 1/3 of the world's GDP. It was the storied land of textiles, jewelry, spices, sandalwood, botanicals, organics, and lifestyle products. Less known is her superpower status in metallurgy, machine tooling, architecture, jurisprudence, and medicine. It was the high-quality specialty steel produced and shipped from South India that the weapons industry of West Asia used to make the revered and feared sword of Damascus in the 8th century. Much of that scientific prowess in metallurgy, corrosion resistance, high-gloss sandstone polishing was lost permanently. Within 500 years of losing our flourishing seafaring export businesses to foreign monopolies and sanctions, we were mistaught to believe that we are not a seafaring but a seafaring people. Nothing can be further from the truth. Major writing systems of Southeast Asia are derived from the later Brahmi scripts used by the Pallava people down this coast in the first millennium. Quite similar to the kind of script that was being used at the Learning Center at Totlakonda. The fine art and sculpture of Indonesia that emerges from hundreds of sites, thousands of kilometers away, is a second pointer. Following this, there were 300 years of adventurism by the Dutch, Portuguese, Danish, French, British, who had their company agents permanently posted in the textile hubs of Kashmir, Bengal, Andhra Coast, Surat, Goa, and Calicut, who were all replaced by one British multinational who took over the fortunes of our land. The sustained period of deindustrialization that followed is well known. The fact that is lost in fine print is the catastrophic decimation of India's mastery over what is today a product designer's dream. The perfect blend of aesthetics and functionality. Boys and girls, yes, we were producing apples by the orchards. And yes, we can strive to get there again. On the stroke of that famous midnight hour, when we redeemed our pledge, our GDP had fallen from 30% to just below 2% of the world. We struggled to regain our feet and emulated well-established planned economy models to rapidly create industrial infrastructure. It was during that era of expansion of the public sector enterprises that the first IIMs came into being to supply the much needed managers for these temples of modern India. Fast forward to the 1990s, and we saw the Indian economy opening up to competition and gradual rollback of the public sector in many areas. Slowly and steadily, we are now seeing India unleashing the power of entrepreneurship and the promise of governance by partnership. With a herd of about 100 unicorns, unlisted startups worth over $1 billion, India is third only to America and China. How did an inward-looking, seafaring country become the hub of global offshore business model? The trials and transformation of India's economy in this century have an epic quality, reminiscent of the 19th century America. A vast national market is being created, allowing firms to grow more in terms of economies of scale. Internal migration is shifting millions of people. The vast number of farm labor, street vendors, micro businesses are turning to the formal economy at a blistering pace. A new consumer class is proliferating and empires are being built on new technologies. Along with that, in contrast to all advanced economies, for the next 3 decades, India will continue to have a young workforce. In the year 2014, when this IIM was announced, India was the world's 10th largest economy. In the following 7 years, it grew by 40%. Growth this year, around 7 to 8%, will be the highest among big countries, and yes, that includes China as well. As we speak today, we are adding new highways, faster trains, faster connectivity. The IMF predicts that by 2027, which is just within 3 years of you guys joining the job market, India will be the world's 5th largest economy, with a GDP of roughly $5 trillion at market prices. In fact, 4 pillars are clearly visible that will support growth in the next decade. The forging of a single national market, an expansion of industry owing to renewable energy and a shift away from China, continued preeminence in IT, and a high-tech welfare safety net, aka the DBT scheme, covering millions left behind by all this massive pace of growth. While this story of growth, of fast trains and highways may be quite familiar to you, I would like to get closer to where I belong. How we are transitioning to digital service delivery in governance. More than 20 years back, when I joined the civil services and toyed with greater use of IT in government functioning, one used to constantly face this disconnect between India's perceived IT boom elsewhere and the scant role that IT played in core government systems and citizen service delivery. But thanks to some forward thinking, things started changing with the NEGP in 2006, when 34 mission mode projects were rolled out in center and states. When we rolled out the UID platform, roughly 10 years back, the world sat up and took note. And then we moved on, creating digital bank accounts for millions of people, moving into robust digitally enabled tax information systems, and the India Stack, a unitary national digital infrastructure of open APIs created by the state that work with Aadhaar, UPI, and other digital commons. A huge obstacle to trade between states has been removed by the adoption of the GST, along with the fantastic chain of information that the GSTN captures. The number of firms paying GST jumped up from 8 million to 14 in the last 5 years. As a result, more businesses are being dragged into the daylight using modern banking systems and perhaps paying taxes. Payments via UPI have risen from the equivalent of 13% of monthly GDP in Jan 2020 to 50% in April last year. On the other hand, tax evasion is getting harder. Some of the digital measures that we have taken are trying to focus on greater citizen centricity in governance delivery, and that's what I guess the course on digital governance here is about. You may not know, others may not know that we already have an Amazon equivalent for government procurements across the country called GEM, which runs on a cloud-based platform. Digital governance has been close to my heart for a very large part of my career in government, having added value through timely audits of key IT implementations in some of the states, leading knowledge development projects for public auditors across the globe. I was very excited to learn that yours have been the first IIM in the country offering a full MBA program on digital governance and management. I wish the faculty and students associated with that course a fascinating journey and look forward to meet and hopefully work with a lot of young digital transformation champions among you in future. But let's pause here. That was the rosy picture. As a nation, we do face great challenges to the best use of our demographic dividend. For one, education remains terrible. This is a center of higher learning. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this here. Although the school enrollment has risen to over 90% for children under 16, learning outcomes are too feeble for gainful work for many. More efficient welfare is not a substitute for a system in which people are more fully able to realize their potential, have jobs to do, rather than left on small farms surrounded by automated factories. Second is the question of regional disparity, which is now worse than China. For the first 30 years following independence, Bombay and Calcutta served as the growth engines, while other places remained behind. For the last 20 years, it has been the West and the South of India that have been the growth engines, while the North and East have mostly added to the numbers of job seekers. We, like everyone else in this world, also live in the era of disruptive technology and the sea of uncertainty. Our machines learn from us and get better and better at doing our tasks, knowing our thoughts and needs. We get excited when the Siris and Alexas of the world communicate like humans and seem not to care at all that we are slowly being programmed into machines ourselves and failing to connect like humans with each other. Do remember that a foreign nation who had nothing worthwhile to exchange for the silk tea crafts lifestyle technology of China put 3 generations of these Chinese people to sleep and poverty with a lot of supply of opium. Only when they found back the spirit of their national consciousness and pride have China been able to dazzle the world in the 21st century. These devices in our pockets, they are the opium of the 21st century. We need to control our digital habits and turn the challenge of disruptive technology upside down and convert it into an opportunity. I'm sure you can support your faculty here by doing some groundbreaking research on refining and redefining our digital habits. Many of you joined here because you thought you knew what you wanted to do, but you were only 22 or 24. At that age, many of us, slightly elder here, really did not have any clue where we are headed. For the first 20 years of our lives, we are trained to listen to voices that are not our own. Teachers, professors, bosses, mentors keep putting the pieces of the puzzle together, explaining how stuff works. Sometimes doubts do creep in, and you may see a different point of view, but it's easier for everyone to nod in agreement. Now, given the impeccable placement record of this institute, even through the pandemic, each one of you would be stepping out of here with a good job and make your immediate family and peers happy. No other outcome is possible when you come out from a premier business school of the fastest growing country in the world. You can start making a living and do the few things and experiences that you have always wanted to have. What would not be easy or automatic is to tune into your own intuition and pondering over what you could do. It's good that you try and start doing that now. What kind of engagement would excite you enough to keep you awake at night? Skip meals. Don't turn away from it because it's not cool in someone else's eyes. If it's a painful thought, challenge it. Who would have taught in a business school that making friends online would one day become the biggest money-making business in the world. If anyone tells you that you miss the bus if you don't grab this opportunity at the right moment, does not know that the next bus is on its way. Life is a long string of opportunities and character-defining moments. You just have to look out and find one that fits into your area of interest, something that you are really passionate about. That could be getting into the game of greening India's energy supply. This is a time when we are stepping into the next green revolution. How long should we remain dependent on imported oil? How long should we let foul air silently kill our dearest people? Lancet, a British medical journal, wrote in 2019 that 1 million Indians die of foul air. Choking smog that blankets much of North India, especially at this time of the year, still there right now, is a perennial challenge that don't seem to be solved. Good news is that we have started taking the right baby steps. Our sunny climate and abundant, affordable labor supply makes India one of the cheapest places in the world to produce solar power. Solar plants are a cheaper option for new electricity generation ventures in India than coal-fired power stations today. Our government is also using innovative policy interventions and reverse auctions to maximize investments in renewables at the lowest possible cost. So how it works is developers state the minimum price that they would be prepared to accept for the power they generate, with the lowest bids winning. India's solar energy capacity increased 50 times in the last 10 years with the right policy incentives. We also have a national integrated power grid, which is far more integrated than similar grids in the US. This makes supply of energy via renewables and new storage ideas like pump hydro and the like possible anywhere in this country. Some of you can start thinking of what you can do with renewables. I looked at these static, hard-framed, mono-angle solar panels on Google Maps much before I came here, but I look at them as inefficient first-generation design. A lot of innovation can come from studying how multiple stacks of broadleaves in the sal forests of central India efficiently capture the maximum direct sunlight throughout its diurnal movement, and how those plant leaves beyond their economic life shed and get replaced by the new ones. You can create those solar panel trees that might have an immediate market in urban India where space is always a premium. It might make our urban air more breathable. But do not spend a moment on it if that does not fascinate you. Move over to the huge possibilities that EdTech can create to achieve better learning and skilling outcomes for the less privileged kids. Someone will be willing to put their money on it. Or get into machine tooling. That's a place where India has been falling far behind. My job here is to leave you with a few ideas on who you were and where we are going. Your job as tomorrow's leaders, innovators, motivators, and caretakers is to chisel and shape a nation that rediscovers its culture of excellence in all walks of life, and a world that is not in conflict with nature. If you are today a leaf on this campus, you need to know that you are part of a tree in a forest of trees that communicate through their network of roots. Our past is filled with great stories of resilience, art, and prosperity that never cease to exist in India's vast reservoir of collective cultural memory. Let this step of your journey through life teach you to listen to your own voice. To stick to your own intuition calls for a lot of courage. And for that courage, you need a lot of support. It will come from your teachers, your parents, and all who have blessed you to come this far. I've also topped my B school entrance and got a tuition waiver scholarship. And then I dropped out in the first month to pursue my master's in economics at the university. My peers thought that was a bizarre decision, but I couldn't care less. I didn't find much joy in economics, so therefore, professor saying that I'm an economist is actually a misnomer. I studied economics, yes. And I so decided to switch to civil services, and cracked the exam immediately. My mom and dad stood rock solid beside all my choices and never questioned. Girls and boys, there are many different ways to be a good leader. We all try to build good teams that get the job done to satisfaction. I read on a quote on one of your walls that the best teams for each other, they don't play with each other. Every position matters in a team. People are entitled to their own styles as long as the ball is passed around and the team is getting the goals. I'm sure that your faculty at IIM are doing a commendable job in helping you find which way works the best for you. Teachers are always in the habit of giving. You're allowed to take away any one thing from this place. Carry that joy of giving with you. That will keep you rich all the time. Carry friends, not networks. Acceptance, not tolerance. Tolerance, networks, these are Western terms. They have negative connotations to them. We have friends, we have acceptance. Focus on what makes you happy and not on looking successful. Keep learning from everyone and cultivate humility. Set your own standards. Create and promote a culture of trust. Create and lead humane organizations. Reach for simple lives and rich in again. If you peel off the complexities of modern life, besieged with technology, and going to be more so, you will find that simple things like being in mindful company of your dear ones, a walk in the nature, anticipating a journey, and simple things like that matters the most. So it is time that you rewrite the book on management. Kids, observe how nature expresses through beauty, elegance, and simplicity. How it harnesses its immense power efficiently and silently. How nature itself recycles everything. We can build happy communities in increased harmony with nature. There is already a demand for it. One of you might get the idea of creating nicer urban landscapes, walk away from boxy architecture of homes and public spaces, create urban forests and carbon sinks. So you must design solutions for all our challenges that are honest, simple, adaptable, and elegant, like nature itself. Keep challenging yourself to give back more than what you have got from countless people in your journey. Let our civilization retake its firm stand upon doing things together in social cooperation and not upon economic conflict. Your work and leadership will touch many, many lives whom you might not have the privilege to get to know personally. They place their faith in you, and that triggers the deep network of trust and belief, like the forest, with which we can rebuild a great country within your lifetimes. Let me not miss this opportunity to congratulate each one of you today on the 9th Foundation Day of IIM Visakhapatnam for adding your love, hard work, and culture of learning, and for joining hands with this institute on its kindergarten steps towards a shining and glorious future. I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it was a lovely speech with a lot of takeaways. But I think three takeaways, which at least I noted down, was worth repeating. So I thought I'll just, kind of summarize Sir's talk. One was, as an institution which is growing, for us to grow, to focus on humility, adaptability, and to challenge ourselves as we go forward. I understand it's really important for us as a growing institution. Sir's advice to all of you as students to self-explore and kind of understand what is it that interests you more than what the society expects out of you, I think is a very, very wise advice to be given. And finally, sir, I think for many of us who have seen Totalkonda, thank you. Though we have been here, many of us are from this city, but its association with education had not really occurred. I think even to our colleagues, it wouldn't have occurred. So thank you so much, and harping on how we need to look backward, learn and get inspired from our history while we plan for our future. Thank you so much for a wonderful speech, sir. I request Director sir to kindly give a token of appreciation to our chief guest.
Let's give a
So with this, we come to the end of the first half of the Foundation Day celebration. Before we end the first half, I'd like to thank. We are a number of people whenever we have an event to thank. So I'll first start with the organizing team. The admin team, which is headed by Mr. Jalani, but in his absence, ably headed by Kalimji, Dilip, Subbu, Hari, everybody who's helped organize here, the IT team headed by Kamal, the projects team, Sai Krishna Garu, thank you for all the support, Twitter, our vendors, GHPS, Green Park, faculty and staff who have come here and to make this function a success. And I kept the students at the end because SAC, Tariq, entire SAC, Sangeet, and all our students who are present here, even our DGM students, and I believe, I don't know if there are any of the PGPX PhD students here, so thank you so much for coming here. I invite all of you to kindly join us for a high tea. However, like I was saying, there is a second part of this event where our students have very enthusiastically planned some cultural events. The high tea is, the faculty kindly join us to interact with our chief guest near Sweet India. And we also have set up counters here where all of you can pick up your snacks. Come here, have your snacks here while you enjoy the cultural events that our students have planned here for us. So thank you so much.